Critical thinking. How to identify and disarm logical fallacies. We live in the age of information, where, ironically, the truth often gets lost in the noise. It's a curious paradox. We've never had so much access to knowledge, yet we've never been more vulnerable to well-crafted lies. Fake news, fallacious arguments, and subtle manipulations flood our conversations, social media, and even political decisions. But there's a powerful antidote to this chaos: critical thinking. It allows us to separate truth from falsehood, reason from absurdity, and see beyond appearances. In this video, we'll explore an essential tool to strengthen your critical thinking: identifying and dismantling logical fallacies. These reasoning traps, which often go unnoticed, are responsible for much of the deception that surrounds us. By the end of this video, you'll have a new lens to view the world, the lens of logic and reason. Are you ready to train your mind and protect yourself from the pitfalls of flawed thinking? Let's get started. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is an essential yet often underestimated skill. But what does it actually mean? Think of it as a mental filter. It helps us analyze information, identify reasoning flaws, and make decisions based on logic, evidence, and clarity. Although the term sounds modern, its roots go back to ancient times. Philosophers like Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato were pioneers in questioning beliefs and challenging the ideas of their era. They advocated for a way of thinking grounded in logic and constant inquiry, something that, centuries later, would form the foundation of modern science and philosophy. Why is critical thinking so important today? The answer is simple. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, but few take the time to verify the facts. Social media amplifies rumors, and pseudosciences attract millions with easy and superficial promises. Without critical thinking, we become easy targets for manipulation, fake news, and dogmas disguised as truths. More than an intellectual skill, critical thinking is a vital defense. It's the difference between being guided by reason or being manipulated by emotion. And in this video, we'll explore how to apply it to dismantle the fallacies we encounter every day. What are logical fallacies? Logical fallacies are like faulty mental shortcuts that lead us to incorrect conclusions. They are arguments that, while they may seem convincing, are riddled with flaws in their structure or content. These can arise from innocent mistakes or intentional manipulations designed to deceive. For example, have you ever heard someone say something like, "If everyone believes it, it must be true"? This is a type of fallacy known as an appeal to popularity. The problem is that popularity does not equal truth. Millions of people can believe something false, and history is full of examples of this. Logical fallacies play a significant role in debates, politics, and even everyday conversations. Knowing how to identify them not only protects you from being misled, but also sharpens your ability to argue effectively. After all, by recognizing flaws in others' reasoning and your own, you get closer to the truth. In this video, we'll explore some of the most common fallacies, understanding how they work, and why they're so effective at deceiving us. Get ready to dismantle these tricks of flawed thinking. Why do we believe in fallacies? If logical fallacies are so deceptive, why do we keep falling for them? The answer lies in our very human nature. Our brains, evolved to survive in dangerous environments, don't always prioritize logic and reason. Instead, they often rely on mental shortcuts, known as heuristics, to save time and energy. For example, Imagine our ancestors on the savannah. If they saw movement in a bush, it was safer to assume it was a predator than to stop and analyze. This instinct, vital for survival, often leads us to make quick decisions without questioning the validity of the information. Emotional factors also play a significant role. We want to believe in things that reinforce our convictions or bring us comfort. That's why appealing stories and simplistic narratives often triumph over rational arguments. Another factor is social pressure. As social beings, we tend to follow the majority's opinion even when it's wrong. This behavior may have ensured cohesion in the past, but in today's world, it can lead us to accept incorrect ideas without questioning them. Understanding these factors is the first step to escaping the traps of fallacies. Recognizing our own vulnerabilities makes us more aware and critical of the information we consume. Common types of logical fallacies. Now that we understand what fallacies are and why we're so susceptible to them, let's explore some of the most common types and how they operate. These fallacies frequently appear in debates, advertising campaigns, news, and even everyday conversations. Knowing them is essential to recognizing and avoiding their traps. Appeal to popularity ad populum. This argument says, if everyone believes it, it must be true. But the popularity of an idea doesn't make it true. For instance, there was a time when almost everyone believed the Earth was flat, and we know how that turned out. Strawman. This happens when someone distorts another person's argument to make it easier to attack. Imagine someone says, "We need to regulate fossil fuel usage," and the other responds, "So you want everyone to live without electricity?" The original argument has been completely misrepresented. Ad hominem, this fallacy occurs when someone attacks the person instead of the argument. For example, you can't trust what she says about economics. She didn't even finish college. A personal attack doesn't prove that the person's argument is invalid. False cause post hoc. This assumes that because one event happened before another, the first must have caused the second. For instance, I ate an apple and got sick. Therefore, apples cause illness. Correlation does not imply causation. False dilemma, also known as the black or white fallacy, this presents only two extreme options, ignoring other possibilities. For example, either you support this plan or you're against progress. These are just a few examples from a long list of fallacies that permeate our daily lives. As we explore each one, try to spot them in speeches, advertisements, and even your own conversations. Practice is essential to developing sharper, more critical thinking. How to identify and avoid logical fallacies. Recognizing a logical fallacy takes practice, but it's a skill anyone can develop. Here's a practical guide with simple steps to help you identify and avoid these reasoning traps. Question the premises. Always ask, what are the premises of this argument? Are they valid and supported by evidence? A logical argument is only as strong as its premises. Distinguish correlation from causation. Before accepting that one event caused another, ask, is there an alternative explanation or a coincidental relationship between the facts? Not all apparent connections imply cause and effect. Recognize emotional appeals. When you feel an argument is appealing more to emotions than logic, ask yourself, does this make rational sense, or am I being emotionally manipulated? Look for omitted options. Always consider, are there other alternatives or solutions beyond the ones presented? The false dilemma fallacy often pushes us toward limited and simplistic choices. Be wary of generalizations. When hearing a broad statement, ask, does this apply to every case, or are there important exceptions? Hasty generalizations often ignore the complexity of reality. Educate yourself continuously. The more you learn about fallacies and critical thinking, the easier it becomes to spot them. Practice analyzing arguments in speeches, advertisements, and even your own beliefs. Remember, no one is immune to fallacies. We all make reasoning errors from time to time. The goal isn't perfection, but to continually improve our ability to think logically and critically. The positive impact of critical thinking on society. Critical thinking is more than an individual intellectual skill. It's a transformative force that can improve both personal lives and social dynamics. When cultivated, it acts as an antidote to misinformation, biases, and manipulations that often shape our choices. On a personal level, practicing critical thinking allows individuals to make more informed and rational decisions. Whether evaluating medical treatments, choosing political leaders, or interpreting daily headlines, critical thinking helps distinguish facts from fiction, ensuring decisions are based on evidence and logic rather than emotions or external pressures. Socially, the impact is even more profound. A society made up of critical thinkers is less vulnerable to deceptive propaganda, hate speech, and conspiracy theories. Such individuals are more likely to demand transparency and accountability from governments and institutions, fostering justice, equality, and true democracy. Moreover, critical thinking fuels innovation and progress. Major advancements in science, technology, and the arts often come from minds that challenge the status quo, question assumptions, and seek answers beyond the obvious. Finally, it builds bridges instead of walls. In a world divided by polarized opinions, critical thinking encourages respectful dialogue and mutual understanding. It reminds us that the path to truth is rarely simple, but always worth exploring. If we want a future that is fairer, more informed, and harmonious, critical thinking is not just an option, it's a necessity. Conclusion: we live in a world full of complex challenges where truth is often obscured by emotions, interests, and misinformation. Yet, as we've seen, critical thinking is not just a powerful tool to navigate this chaos, it is essential for human and social progress. Throughout this video, we explored how logical fallacies can distort our understanding of reality, leading us to misguided and even harmful conclusions. We also saw that by identifying and avoiding them, we not only strengthen our ability to think clearly, but also contribute to a more informed, fair, and innovative society. The journey of critical thinking is ongoing and requires practice, humility, and a willingness to learn and unlearn. But it is also deeply rewarding. Every small step toward a more careful and thoughtful analysis brings us closer to making better decisions and building a more harmonious world. So, let this video serve as an invitation to question, to explore, to resist the allure of easy answers, and to embrace the complexity of truth. After all, it is through critical thinking that we can illuminate the path toward a future grounded in reason and justice. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video from Veritas Lens.